all that matters is do you meet these standards and these criteria? That's all that matters when we're talking about being a male or a female. And there's no way you can say you didn't know it because you feel like it. There's no way that you can have mind proximity.
Your innate sense of self is not a feeling.
Oh, so can you explain to us what this innate sense of self is? Sorry, I should have asked that first.
Gender identity forms within your hypothalamus. It is a truth that you know about yourself, not a feeling.
Oh, so now we're going into the neurological argument for this. So when you say this, I'm sure you're making the age-old argument that's been destroyed that gender identity is formed within the hypothalamus and the striatum.
Where would you say that gender identity lies?
Are you aware? Do you have any sources for this? Because the only two I can find is.
Where would you say that gender identity lies?
Well, I don't even know what gender identity is. There's no way that.
How you identify? Is it whether you identify as a man or a woman or non-binary, etc.?
Yeah, when I state my gender, it's not I feel that saying I'm identifying with a gender, I feel like it is incorrect. I feel like the more correct term should be objectively stating my gender. So, for example, when I say I am 6'2", I'm not identifying as a 6'2"er. I'm just objectively stating the fact that I am 6'2". That is the correct term to use here. What you're saying, it seems like your argument, there's an underlying assumption that we just must accept for whatever reason, that all of these objective things that exist in our world are mind independent, that you can just change them. You can change reality to your will. I don't believe that.
I'm not talking about changing reality, my guy.
So would you agree that correctly stating your gender is not dependent upon your identity? That it is an objective thing that exists independently of your mind. Would you agree with that?
Gender is not independent of your mind, no.
Oh, no, what about sex?
Sex is related to reproductive functions.
Well, I'm not. That's not the question I asked. The question I ask is, do you think that sex is mind independent?
Neurological sex is a part of the equation.
Okay, so you would say yes then, in that point.
It's a part of the equation. Can you provide any sources that is part of the equation?
Okay, can you provide any sources that your gender comes from your hypothalamus? Because the only two papers I can find.
I can, but at the same time, if gender identity, if it doesn't come from your brain, where does it come from?
Well, it comes.
Unless you're trying to say that men really believe that their gender identity comes from their penis.
No. It comes from your biology, just as your height and your eye colors and whatnot. They come from your biology. So it's not about. There's an argument for neurology. In that case, you would be saying that someone who has a female gender identity has a different brain than someone who has a male gender identity. Is that what you're claiming? That you have a brain that is closer to the one that is observed generally on a female's shoulder? Are you saying? What are you saying? Are you saying that your brain?
All I'm saying is that my gender lies in my brain. That's it.
Thank you for I'm saying you're not listening. What I'm saying is, are you saying that your brain is closer to a female's as opposed to a male's?
All I'm saying is that gender identity lies in the brain. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, and do you have any facts to provide to substantiate this claim?
Where else would it lie? It sure as hell doesn't lie in my genitalia.
So again, you don't. So the answer is you don't. You don't have any.
Yes, I literally have sources say that gender identity lies in the hypothalamus. But thank you so much, Robin.
Can you provide it to us? Can you? What is it exactly? Because the only paper I know of is Zhao, 1995, a Chinese paper that said this, that made this claim. And by today's medical and research standards, that paper would not meet these new standards. So please, if you can provide any of these sources yourself.
Sure, let me get you something. One moment.
And also, Adora, if I may ask a question in relation to this, while you're looking for the paper that supposedly backs up your claim, do you believe that the brain overall in its totality is monomorphic or dimorphic?
I've heard the word dimorphic thrown around, but I don't actually know what that means.
Essentially, what I'm asking is, do you think that in regards to this gender identity thing and this unfalsifiable postmodernist idea of gender or the conception of gender, in relation to this, are you saying that someone with the gender identity of, say, woman has a brain that's typically found in women and vice versa, if that makes any sense?
I didn't quite follow. I'm still trying to find that to find a.
Well, it's fine. So I also can
Information
multitask.
about the hypothalamus a million times over, but
I'll give you some time. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Go ahead and look for the source. I'll give you some time if you want.
Just trying to find something that's not a .com. I got a million studies. They're pretty big studies I haven't read through. They mention the hypothalamus and gender quite a bit. I don't want to use studies that I don't understand very well.
Well, I mean,
I typically don't talk about neurology very much because it's something that I don't understand. But the only thing that I know is that that gender lies within the brain, specifically the hypothalamus.
But this is a claim that you just couldn't substantiate. And I'm wondering, why do you still hold the belief to this? I mean, this is not a
help me out a little bit.
This is not a commonly accepted. I guess you can say this is not a consensus within the neuroscientific community. It just isn't.
The study that was just provided to me is the one that I was reading through. It's a fake study, so I don't know exactly what it says.
If I make my understanding,
I'll give you the study anyways if you'd like it.
Is my mic working fine, or is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so if I may just give my understanding of the neurological argument, my understanding, and you can correct me on this because you may know more about it than I do. My understanding of it is that the brain, that there are few and sparse papers that are claiming that gender identity, as ill-defined as it may be, is found within a certain region of the brain.
You mean the hypothalamus?
Hold on. Let me finish. Adora, can you mute him can you mute them while I finish?
And no,
her.
Damn.
Sorry, my apologies.
So, if we're finding few and sparse papers, and this is not a consensus within the neuroscientific community, why are you making these claims?
Actually, it is. Where's your source of the general neuroscientific community?
Can you tell me one neuroscientific organization or society that accepts this?
ADA, the APA.
The APA?
American Psychiatric Association.
And where do they make this claim?
There's thousands of foundations that agree that it's in the hypothalamus.
Like who? Yes. You said the APA and whatnot. Where can I find that? Because as I Google it, I don't find anything. There are speculations that it may. They found some correlations of brain scans between some cis people and some trans people. But the original claim that Adora made was, and I quote, that gender identity is in the brain. I'm asking
because literally there's nowhere else that it would be as it is psychosocial. It is psychological and it is social. Yeah. So between those two things, there's no room for it to be in any other part of the body other than the brain.
Okay, so you made the claim. I'm asking you, can you substantiate it?
I can.
Reason is a biologist.
Brick, please.
Give me 1 second. I'll pull up all my studies. It's not that one. Neuroscience. Here it is. Breaking the binary gender. This is the paper. Breaking the binary gender versus analysis in the human brain imaging. PDF.
Yeah, you said, what did you say after gender?
Versus sex analysis in the human brain imaging. This was done in 2022.
And what is this supposed to prove? That gender identity lies within the brain?
Yep.
Okay, and where can I find that?
If you have to read the article, it's 5 pages long. I can send you the actual article if you have a Discord. But you have to know the scientific community, and you have to know these studies.
Okay, so this paper, and I haven't read it in its entirety, I just read the small abstract, and I can't find it anywhere where it says gender identity lies within the brain. All it is saying, the paper, as I read the abstract, is that this is the way we recommend other researchers to conduct brain scans of transgender individuals and cisgender individuals when we're trying to find...
I'll read the introduction. You have to read the whole paper, because the abstract doesn't even come with it. Neuroscientists have long sought to behavior sex differs based on the average difference between man's and women's brain. Thus, so far, there's no such neutral substantiate that reliably identifies for significant behavioral and psychiatric difference between man and women's brain. One problem approach is that the binary is not such accurate, particularly masculine or feminine behavior, such the brain correlates to such psychological members that lost other dimensions in the individual variation. I can just go on and on.
Oh, so this is one of your... Hello, can you hear me? Hello,
yeah.
Hello. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a highlight of your study.
This is just the introduction.
No, I want to read something out. Hold on. So it says brain sex differences have yet to identify clear neural correlates of brain differences. So the way I
read the whole paper, it does
that's
have
one
it
of
in
their
there.
That's one of the highlights. Clearly, they're saying they cannot explain the correlations that they've observed in other papers. So this study, I find it nowhere where it says that gender identity lies within the brain. If you can point me to a section, a page, a paragraph.
Paragraph.
You look at it.
Story.
That's
so far, the imaging suggests interest differs have divided subjects into binary groups on self-identification. Although sex increasing is not fully binary, the dichotomous approach seems to be adequate. Where is it? For reducing how fundamental brains organize differently between most men and women.
Where
does image analysis growing I didn't finish. Increasingly automated, that is commonly due to sex comparison. Thousands of participants have statistically powered to identify the brain differences between the category of male and female brain.
Okay, where does it say that?
That's in the introduction.
Okay, where does it say? My question is, where does it say that gender identity lies within the brain? Where can I find that? Because I have the study, it's in its entirety in front of me.
Okay, let me look.
I don't know how many more like literally every single thing I'm finding is saying that gender identity is that the hypothalamus is responsible for gender identity.
Wait, but again, as I explained to you earlier, I don't think you were listening, that in order to make this claim, there has to be an underlying supposition that there's a female brain and a male brain, that the brain is dimorphic.
Only the sexually dimorphic parts are female and male.
Say it again. Only the sexually dimorphic
parts. Like the hypothalamus, the white matter, the amygdala.
Yeah, so I have a study that looks at 3 decades worth of other studies. This is a systemic review, and it tries to look at other studies which look at brain differences between males and females, and it finds when corrected and accounted for size, because the male brain is a little bit larger than the female brain, that there are virtually zero differences between the male and the female brain.
What is your source?
Where do you think? Well, what part of the body do you think is responsible for gender?
Gender? I
Yes.
believe that your biological sex is responsible for your gender.
What part of biological sex? Because the brain is biological.
No, I said your sex, your biological sex.
Sure, and neurological sex is a thing, because parts of the brain are sexually dimorphic.
Well, you just couldn't substantiate that. I don't know why you go back to it.
Where is your source? What is your source?
But my source is, if you look at the definition, it is adult human female. That's the definition.
That is a definition. Is one of many.
What is your source
in that aspect,
back your claim up?
Right, the definition, the common understanding of gender by most people is
that's a general
adult human female.
That is a fallacy, popularity fallacy.
No. I'm saying that is the accepted definition, and they wouldn't have put it at number one if it wasn't the most important, the most useful.
Nope. The order in which they are does not make them any more important or any less important than the others.
What scientific proof do you have to prove your point?
Yes.
What scientific claim am I making? I'm just making a claim about the definition of a word.
You made it.
That's more linguistics.
That's not in the hypothalamus.
No, you made that claim. I said I have no evidence to see if that's the case. But you made it. You made a positive claim, and I need evidence for it. But you can't provide any evidence that gender identity lies within the brain.
You're just rejecting what we're offering you.
Well, I've also given you one, and you've rejected it. When I said that if you look at the study called Dump the Dimorphism, it clearly shows that the brain is monomorphic. And when you say that someone has gender identity in their brain, it's not accepted by a single scientific community.
Where, if it's not in the brain, where is it? What part of? Because there are other aspects of sex. There are reproductive functions. There are reproductive functions, such as your genitalia, your chromosomes, your hormonal sex, and your gametes. Which one of those sex characteristics is responsible for gender?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Reverend Rosa.
So if you're a female who's an adult who's human, you are a woman. Now, if you're asking how do you become a female, well, to me, I believe that whether the question of whether someone is a female or not is a biological question. So it comes down to do you have the phenotype? Can you produce large gametes or small gametes?
So a woman cannot produce the correct cannot produce gametes isn't a woman by your standard.
Like who?
There are plenty of women that do not have eggs.
What can I said the ability, having the phenotype to produce these eggs, they certainly have them.
Phenotype.
Yeah, to have the physical, I guess you can say, manifestation of genotype, right? They certainly have the phenotype to produce.
Can an XY be female? Can an XY person be female?
Say it again.
Can an XY chromosome, if somebody has an XY chromosome, can they be female?
Sure. If you have the phenotype to produce a large gamete and you have XY, certainly you can be you're female.
In your sense, that's an exception, which takes out the rule. Yes.
Now, how is it an exception? I have one simple.
But you had said it's formed from the genetics.
Yeah, my
genetics
standard
don't always match. Genotype doesn't match phenotype.
My standard is not built upon chromosomes. That's not the standard I give. It's built upon whether you have the phenotype to produce small or large gametes.
What happens with vagogenesis? People who do not have vaginas, who can't produce eggs.
People who have, say it again?
Vagal agenesis. You're off the app.
Yeah, I'm looking up the definition.
No, I'm looking at vaginal agenesis. And can they, do they have the phenotype to produce large gametes or no?
No, they cannot produce female gametes because they don't have a vagina.
I didn't say
or
do they have
uterus.
the ability. Brick, I didn't say do they have the ability. I said do they have the phenotype, the physical structures of someone's phenotype.
No, they don't have a vagina or a uterus. That's what vaginal agenesis is, not having a full vagina. There's women that have no uterus when they're born. Vaginal agenesis happens 1 in 5,000.
It happens, I look at it, it says it happens when a child's when a child's reproductive system does not fully develop. So clearly he's saying that there are some development of...
you don't have to have fully developed. You can have a lack of.
No, I'm saying when I look at vaginal agenesis, it's saying that it is a birth defect when a baby does not fully... Hold on. When a baby does not fully develop reproductive systems. So there is some development of reproductive systems, and then we would go off of that to see whether they're female or not, and that would actually classify as a phenotype.
I'm using Mayo's Clinic. It's a rare disorder in which the vagina does not develop. The womb may only develop partially or not at all. If they not at all, that's in your definition, they're not a woman.
No, they don't develop a vagina, but they develop other aspects of sexual sexual reproductive organs.
Like what?
Only the vagina that's missing. Well, in a lot of cases, they do have a uterus, and that would be considered a phenotype. In my view, that would be considered a phenotype because only one sex produces.
Have no uterus or partially develop. If they have no uterus, are they a woman?
That's not what the Mayo Clinic says. The Mayo Clinic does not talk about whether they.
Yes, if you look at
it says they don't have a vagina. That's what the claim you're making. That's the condition.
They don't have a vagina or a uterus. Symptoms: genitals don't look like typical female. Vagina may be shortened without a cervix at the end or absent, marking a slight indication of vaginal opening, which typically may be located. There may be no uterus or only a partial developed. If there's tissue lining the uterus, the endometrium, monthly cramping or chronic abdominal may occur.
Yeah, all of them may not develop a uterus, but some of them certainly do develop, and they have tissues to develop reproductive organs. And that would still classify as female.
About they don't have uteruses or vaginas.
But that would still classify as phenotype.
Why? You're saying...
Because do you know what phenotype is, Brick?
Yeah, I do know what phenotype is.
What is it?
You're devoting... Phenotype is your physical aspects.
In regards to what? In relation to what?
Your body and your reproductive organs.
No, it's about your genes, right? So in this aspect,
that's genotype. Genotype.
Hold on. Having tissues to produce large gametes, or having tissues to produce, or having some tissues for a womb, that would classify you as having the physical characteristics.
But they don't have a womb. They don't have.
They have the tissues. They have it may be underdeveloped, right? But they have the tissues.
So that would still classify them as having the phenotype
of being a female.
They have no uterus or vagina. That would be a phenotype issue.
So it says most people don't have a uterus, so that means some of them do have a uterus. It didn't say they absolutely.
Yeah, I'm talking about the extreme.
All right. Why is it so? Hang on. Why is it so important to you to invalidate trans identities?
I don't know what are you saying? I'm not invalidating trans.
Oh no, you are. No, I want to be absolutely clear about that. Don't sugarcoat it.
No,
your goal here is to invalidate trans identities.
No, someone can be trans. All I'm saying is that an adult, they can do.
Am I a woman?
I have no.
Am I a woman?
You don't meet the standards set forth.
Okay, so why is it so important to you to invalidate trans identities?
It's not an invalidation. Stating an objective fact, it's not invalidating.
No, that is okay. Wow, that's.
You are.
What does it mean to invalidate? What does it mean to invalidate?
What do you mean? You said I invalidate trans people. What do you mean?
Yeah. When I'm saying I am a woman, you're saying no, you're not. How in the world is that not invalidating?
Oh, well, because to invalidate someone is to put them down or something akin to that. I'm just simply telling you the truth, the objective truth, and you have not provided any sources, any.
If you told me that 2 plus 2 was 5, and I said no, that answer is invalid. That it's actually 4. Would that be invalidating your response?
Well, but it's regardless of your feelings. That's what I'm telling you. It is an objective thing that exists. You can't just identify.
Again, stop. Why is this important to you?
Why is this important? I think objectivity is important. Why do you think objectivity is not important?
Do you think that there's any possible harm that your insistence that I am wrong about a core part of who I am? Do you think that there is harm?
I think with the transgender ideology,
do you think that there is harm? Okay, I'm going to mute you. Okay. Do you think that there is harm in your absolute insistence that trans people are wrong about who we are? Is there harm in that? You can unmute now.
Yes, absolutely. I think there is actual material harm. Let me answer your first question.
Why are you doing it?
Can I answer your first question? You asked me a question, and then you asked me another question. Let me answer the first one, and I'll answer your second one. To your first question, I think there's absolute material harm with the transgender ideology. We have so many kids.
That's not what I asked. I asked you, is there harm in invalidating trans identities? Thank you so much for the sub.
No one is objectively saying that someone who's male cannot be a woman. No, there's no harm in that. Absolutely not.
Okay. Then explain our extremely high rates of depression, anxiety, unaliving ideation, etc.
Oh, can you substantiate that claim? Because I have sources to dispute.
Oh, yeah, I got so many sources, guys. I got so many sources.
If you want to do this,
but it is my opinion that you genuinely do not care at all about the well-being of trans people.
Please don't accuse me of that.
I'm accusing you of that.
I absolutely do care about the well-being, the quality of life.
No, you don't, because the simple act of calling me a woman is too much for you. Too much.
It is, because when I call you a woman, I am accepting a system and an ideology, an institution that say males can go in female prisons, males can compete in women's sports, males can go in women's bathrooms, males can be women. I'm not just simply going to accept false realities. I'm not. I'm going to accept objective reality. And if you say that objective reality sets you off, I hope it doesn't. But then you need, not you specifically, but people who get upset with objective reality, they need help. And
not letting him do it anymore. I'm not letting him put trans people down anymore.
Sorry, Adora.
You got nothing to be sorry about. Jesus, that guy was awful, absolutely awful. His only intent was to cause as much harm as possible.
He could go toe-to-toe with me. I like that.
Okay, next up. Everyone please keep tapping that screen, share the live. We're going to bring up the next guest right now. Okay. Thank you, Fuyu Tiger. I appreciate you. Someone redeemed Stretch. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Let me get a guest up first. A reminder to everyone that subscribers are held to a higher standard than general chat. If you display transphobia as a subscriber, you're going to be blocked. There's not going to be a warning. You're just going to be blocked. Okay, this guest isn't connecting either.
Hello?
Hello, HK. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right. How old are you, please?
18.
18. What year were you born?
So, 2000.
That's not 18. Someone redeemed hydrate as well. I'll get that in a second. Hello, Blasphemous. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right, and you?
Doing all right. How old are you, please?
I'm 30.
30. And what year were you born?
94.
94. All right. Am I a woman?
Yeah, so I had a question. I don't know if I can ask it because maybe it's not on the screen. That's okay, but I just am curious
Sure,
about the trans people using the bathrooms. Can I discuss that with you?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, great. So I'm just wondering. I know it's a difficult topic, and there's obviously two split sides, but there has to be a place where everyone is comfortable. Clearly, right now, it's very obvious that women are uncomfortable with trans women using their bathroom, but trans women should use the bathroom. So, right, yeah, they are. They are. I believe it. But I'm just wondering, what do you think should happen that everyone can feel comfortable? Because I feel like opening up the bathrooms all the way to anyone who identifies as a woman isn't the solution. So, what do you think would
What's
work?
the problem?
Well, obviously the problem right now is that women are uncomfortable. And women, I say women, but trans
So
women
discomfort
are
is the problem.
discomfort, yes, because you have these sick
Transgender women
males.
are women. Transgender women are uncomfortable in the men's restroom. Therefore, we should work on that. Let's work on that problem. What do we do about the women who are uncomfortable in the men's restroom?
Right. That's my question.
Yeah, what we do about transgender women who are women and are uncomfortable in the men's restroom is that we let them in the women's restroom. That's the solution, and that's it.
Well, what about
That's the solution.
cis women that are uncomfortable with trans women coming in the bathroom? What do we do about that?
Sure. There is a thing we can do about that. K through 12 queer education. The sooner we get K through 12 queer education, the less fear there will be around people who are a little bit different.
Okay. But what? So, and this has nothing to do. This is not trans women's fault. Trans people, it's not their fault. But with this openness of trans women using women's bathrooms and trans men using men's bathrooms, but mainly the focus on trans women, there's this fear of you have these males who are not trans women going into women's bathrooms and making women uncomfortable. That's a huge problem. So we want to make trans women comfortable, but we cannot have cis women uncomfortable using the space that they've been using this whole time. So what can we do to
Where have
make everyone
transgender women
comfortable?
been going to the bathroom this whole time?
Women's bathroom, I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what's changed?
What's changed is that it's a little more accepted, and that's great. People are embracing a little bit more. More trans people are coming out. But with that, you have these sick people who I'm sure are not actual trans women, but with the movement, they're thinking, and I guess it's just like, oh, I have easier access to this woman's bathroom that I couldn't get to before because I could just say I'm a woman. And that's what the problem is.
This is a thought that I get presented with all the time. It's an incomplete thought. So rather than just going through the whole thing, I'm going to ask you this. If someone dresses up like you and commits a crime, are you responsible for that crime?
No, I'm not. And I get that. I get that 100%.
So then why are we holding trans people accountable for other people who aren't trans committing crimes in our name?
We're not. The true trans people are not responsible. But with
why are we the ones getting punished?
Unfortunately, because with this movement, and it's not even a movement, it's just with the acceptance. Let's just say that. With the acceptance of it, it's becoming more pronounced, more aware. This isn't something that, this is something that has always been around, but it's not something that has been so out there in society as it is now. So with that, you have people taking advantage of it. And it's not trans people's problem, but it's natural, the human mind, however it works. It's natural that they're like, oh, well, now since transgender people are more out and about, you have people taking advantage of it. So that's why I'm wondering.
Again,
there has to be a solution.
Question. If someone dresses up as you and commits a crime, are you responsible for it?
No, I'm not responsible.
Right. So why are we punishing trans people for what cis people are doing?
We shouldn't punish trans people, but
exactly.
we should come up with a
trans
way.
People. Trans people should still be allowed in the women's restroom, even though there's a small handful of cisgender men that will pretend to be trans women.
Okay, but so you understand we shouldn't punish trans people. I agree with that 100%. But you understand that with the laws that, let's say you can use whatever you identify as, you could use a bathroom. With those laws, it does create issues. So there has to be something that everyone can use a bathroom comfortably, but the issues are not there because it is. If anyone identifies as what they want and whatever, and I'm not saying that trans people aren't valid because they are, but you have those people who aren't trans that are like, oh, I can take advantage of this movement or whatever, of this acceptance, and they are in the wrong, but still they are taking over.
Let me just do this hypothetical. Trans men, if you go in by a biological sex, that means trans men would be in the female bathroom.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
You think they would be uncomfortable with that?
They would. I'm a trans man myself, and I know for a fact if I go into a woman's bathroom, I'm gonna make everyone in that woman's bathroom uncomfortable, and I don't want to do that. I feel I don't know what it is, but that's I'm strictly wondering what can we do to make everyone comfortable because we can't just make trans people comfortable and make cis women uncomfortable, and we can't just
stop
do it
calling
vice
our
versa.
oppressors, and when someone is transphobic to us, we can give them the middle finger. Fuck transphobes.
I mean, I agree with that, but at the end of the day, that doesn't resolve the issue. It doesn't resolve the issue of bathrooms.
The issue is the transphobes. The transphobes are here, and I'm not letting
transphobes. No, the transphobes, and then the sick people that decide to take advantage. But that's why we cannot just simply pass.
Sorry, please finish. Sorry, I apologize. I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. I'm simply saying, it is. It's the transphobes and it's the sick, cis males, whatever, that is ruining it for the trans people. That I understand, but there has to be something, some type of rule or some type of regulation in place that everyone can feel comfortable, because it can't just simply be if you identify as a woman, you can go into the women's bathroom, because there are people taking advantage of that.
All right,
it's not trans people's fault. Go ahead.
I got a few points that I want to make. First is, which bathroom would you say that a 13-year-old transgender girl should go in?
Off the bat, I would like to say transgender girls should use the women's bathroom. Okay, that's
so
what I would like to say.
A transgender girl use the women's bathroom, but a transgender woman should use the men's bathroom.
No, I don't. That's not what I want. That's not. It's not cut and dry like that. I don't want. I'm not saying all transgender women, and I don't want to just say, oh, well, this type of transgender woman and this type should use this X, Y, and Z bathroom. But there has to be, it cannot be as simple as you identify as a woman, you use the woman's bathroom, you identify as a man, use a man's bathroom. Because
so what's the criteria have to be?
That's the problem. I don't know. And that's why I'm wondering where could we come as a society together to solve that, because it can't be so cut and dry like that.
Compromising with transphobes. Fuck the transphobes. Fuck them. Let's stop compromising.
Yeah, I agree with that. Fuck the transphobes, fuck the homophobes, fuck them all. But then sometimes it's not the transphobes. It's like I said, with transgender people just wanting to be themselves, just wanting to use a bathroom in peace and just go about their day. That's great. I'm all fucking for that. But with that, it comes, unfortunately, and it's not the transgenders people's fault. It's the fault of the sick people that wanna latch onto it. And with that acceptance being open, it opens the door to sick people saying, you know what, now I can go ahead and say I'm a woman, go into the woman's bathroom and attack them. And that's not right. And it's not the trans people's fault. It's not. But with that, with it being so open and loose, like whatever you identify as, that is the problem that's being created. And I'm wondering, what can we do so that everyone can use the bathroom in peace and not be attacked, not be at risk of attack, even more so.
Let's talk about risk. What demographic is by far and away the most likely to commit violent acts in public?
A male. I would say a white male, but a male.
Cisgender men.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why are we not talking about banning cisgender men from public? They're a threat to people.
Hey, if we could do that, we could do that, but we can't. We cannot just
why
ban
can we not do
cisgender
that?
men.
But we can do this with trans people. It's a double standard. You're appeasing our oppressor.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but the thing is, we cannot say, we can't say we're gonna ban all cisgender male.
Of course, that would be ridiculous.
We can't. It is, and it would, and we cannot say, and we should not say, we're gonna ban transgender women, transgender men. We cannot do that. It doesn't make sense. But what I'm saying is, we live in a society. We're all here. We cannot say I'm here, I matter more. We're all here, so we have to find a place where everyone is comfortable. We can't just say it's just a difficult thing. But that's why I'm wondering, what can we do so that trans women can use a bathroom and feel safe, but cis women can go ahead and use a bathroom and not worry about anything else, not because of actual trans women, but because of the disgusting people that are taking advantage.
Give me a solution.
What is the solution? I would love, that's what I want to hear.
Right, I have a solution. My solution is to let people use the restroom that we're comfortable with. I also support gender-neutral bathrooms, but that's not the scenario that we have currently. Currently, we typically have men's restrooms and women's restrooms. So in that structure, when I go into a grocery store, and the grocery store has a men's restroom and a women's restroom, which one should I go in?
I would say that you should go into the women's bathroom.
Okay, fantastic. I agree. Trans women should be able to use the women's restroom. Thank you for the eyes.
See, that's not the problem that I have. I am all for trans people, and I understand. But the thing is, with this, because this is a thing now, the laws are needing to be passed, and people are needing to be accepted, because, even though trans people have been around for a long time, it's more so at the forefront. People are needing to get used to it. But with that, people are taking advantage of it, and we cannot take away the people taking advantage of it. It's going to happen. But since it's a huge change, I feel like there needs to be something more than just use a bathroom, because as you have stated, neutral gender bathrooms, that's not going to happen for some time, and that's just not the case right now. So there needs to be more than just use the bathroom you want to go to, because you have sick people. Well, I don't know the solution. That's why I came up here saying, what can we do? Because it needs to be more than just use the bathroom that you feel you need to use.
Gender-neutral bathrooms have been shown to be at least as safe and arguably slightly safer than gender-segregated bathrooms. I would argue that we should push for that. However, that's not where we are right now. What is the solution right now? While transgender people in many states are losing the right to use certain restrooms, what is the solution? What should we be doing? If I go to a government building in Florida, I'm required to use the men's restroom. And if I'm caught twice, I can receive a felony charge.
No, that's a problem. If I go to Florida, I would be required to use the women's bathroom, and if I go in there, I know it's going to be a ruckus. And that's not what I want. That's not what I want. I want everyone to feel comfortable.
The best solution is to let people use the restrooms that we're comfortable with. There isn't currently a better solution.
I don't know. I mean, I hear you, and I slightly do understand. But the thing is, it's just that doesn't seem like a solution, because especially how it is, there's so much hate towards the community and whatnot. I feel like just being like, hey, use a bathroom that you want to use, unless there were just overall gender neutral bathrooms. But they're not.
Again, it's for gender neutral bathrooms, but that's not what we have.
Exactly, and that's the problem.
So for now, as it currently stands, all trans people need to be able to use the restroom that we are most comfortable with. No exceptions.
Well, I guess that's just kind of what it is. It's not a solution, but that's just what people would have to get used to.
You have not provided a solution of your own.
No, I haven't. I know I haven't. And I came up here. I came up here strictly saying, what can we do for everyone to be comfortable? Because I have no idea. And I mean, if that's just what it is, that's what it is.
All right.
I appreciate you.
I recognize, Blasphemous, that I've been pretty damn feisty. I'm not in the mood tonight for transphobia. I'm not saying that that you are transphobic, but I am worried that you might be focusing too much on appeasing our oppressor. Do your best not to do that. It's okay to give him the middle finger.
Yeah, for sure. I just want all to be comfortable, because we live in a society with everybody. So we can't just have one feeling more comfortable than the other, and that goes for both sides. But thank you for having me up. All right.
Yeah, thank you for coming up, Blasphemous. You have a good day.
You too.
Guys, I got the fire tonight. Send some of those fires, guys, because I got plenty of fire in me tonight. I need to make a feisty Adora emote, something like with some fire or something.
That'd be awesome.
Breathe, girl, yes. Oh yeah, I forgot. Someone sent me a hydrate command earlier. Thank you for the fire. Okay. Oof. Who's next? Okay. I'm gonna calm down. Gonna try to take this next guest from neutral. I'm not here to appease the oppressor, guys. Someone comes up, they say oppressive shit. I'm gonna call their shit. I'm gonna call them on their shit. Straight up. What are my cats doing now? No, off. Down. Okay. You're an icon, thank you. Okay. How many more times can I say okay? Thank you for the fire. Thank you, Crimson. Thank you, Muffins. And how you doing, Abby?
Good, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How old are you, please?
Okay, so it says I'm a woman. You asked me to prove you wrong, right?
Yeah, how old are you first?
You need your age first.
I am 16.
I appreciate you being honest. You have to be 18 to go live.
Okay, thank you.
I will always give people credit for honesty. Always. Thank you, Cece. Hello, Maddie. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing all right. How old are you, please?
19.
And what year were you born?
2005.
Fantastic. Am I a woman?
So I feel like you could consider yourself a woman personally, but that doesn't make you physiologically a woman, like genetically.
When you say genetically a woman, what do you mean specifically?
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were born with a penis, you were born as a male.
Sure, but I think that gender and sex are different things.
Okay, so you could, I guess, like, you can call yourself a woman all day, but that doesn't physically make you one. Or genetically. Like, no matter what you do, no matter what hormones you take or what surgeries you get, you're still gonna have male DNA.
Right. I'm not making the claim that getting these surgeries or taking hormones is what makes me a woman. Not at all. And B, I'm not denying that I probably have XY chromosomes. I'm not denying that I'm genotypically male.
Hey, Maddie, can somebody with XY chromosomes, let me give an easy question, be female and give birth?
Wait, say that again?
Did I hear two people?
Yeah, two people.
Yeah, she's 18.
Yeah, my birthday's June 19th, 2005.
Okay, fantastic.
So what was the question? Could you just say it one more time? I'm sorry.
Can somebody let me give you an easy question. Can somebody with XY chromosomes be female and give birth?
No.
You're wrong. Sewer syndrome.
Well, there's multiple different types of, like, variances of chromosomes. Like, I'm trying to think of the word. You're born. It's not like the typical like normality. Like if you're born, there's multiple different cases where like you could have an extra You know what I'm trying to say? So I mean, but like typically,
it's not normality. It's a variation. 2, your stance is necessary and sufficient conditions. You said genetics. So I just proved you with one case. It's 1 in 80,000 people are born with Sawyer syndrome.
but typically that's not the case. That's a very rare
occurrence.
Yes.
It's not rare.
I would definitely argue that it is rare, but the fact that it's rare isn't irrelevant. It still happens.
Okay, sure, but and I am like, listen, like I don't want to be like an asshole. Like I don't even mean to like come on here and like sound like one. Like I 100% believe that, you know, if you identify as a woman and you want to use she, her pronouns, go ahead. It's your life. It's not mine. You know what I mean? That's really like my stance on it. Like I will never just, if I meet somebody who wants to go as he, him pronouns or she, her pronouns, but they weren't born that way, I will 100% respect it. But I don't believe that that makes you a woman. So I believe that you should respect. I believe that there is a certain level of respect that should be given to another individual, just another human being in general. But I don't believe that that makes you a woman. You know
what does make someone a woman?
Being born with a vagina and being born
having female genitalia, going through womanhood, having
hold on.
One step at a time.
Okay, being born. Okay.
Born with a vagina. So how about vaginal agenesis, which is a vaginal condition where you do not have a vagina or can have no uterus or fallopian tubes or any of that.
Those are very rare occurrences that happen, and they're
But that doesn't. But we're talking about the simple fact that if somebody is born with XY chromosomes and they are born with male genitalia, that they can then call themselves a woman or be a woman, and that is the.
I just gave you we asked for a necessary and sufficient condition. One necessary and sufficient condition, if it's not met, does not meet the sufficient cause of that premise.
So, like, I feel like in those cases, you have a choice or whatnot, and it really just depends on those. Those are very like gray area situations, but I feel
but I have a question. If you're born that way, is your body still producing estrogen?
Some people do. I believe most people do.
Okay, so then you're physically a woman. Pumping estrogen into your body and your body doesn't naturally produce estrogen does not make you a woman. It definitely will give you the physical appearances of a woman. Like it will definitely, you know, create different things in your body, but your body is not naturally producing that. And I am aware that people, their body, like if you're a male and you get to a certain age and you're born a male, whatever, and your body, depending, like if a guy does steroids or is pumping testosterone young, like your body can stop producing testosterone. So then you have to get shots and stuff like that, or your testosterone is very low. But if you are born a male and your body is naturally pumping testosterone into your body, pumping estrogen into your body does not make you a female. It just gives you female attributes and gives you those hormones. But it doesn't genetically or physically make you a female.
There are multiple sex characteristics. I likely have male genes. My hormone levels are female. My genitalia is female. I don't have gonads. My neurological sex is likely female, but yeah, sure. We have different sex characteristics, and just because one is female doesn't mean that all are female, right? Like, and again, I'm not making any claim that whether or not we are biologically female, male, intersex determines if we're a man or a woman. Thank you for the finger heart.
So, do you have anything to say? I just feel like it's tough for me personally because, I'm heterosexual. I was born a female. I identify as a female, all those types of things. So, and it's hard for me because out of just the kind of person that I am, like I said before, like I am never going to just straight up be disrespectful or misgender somebody, if that makes
that's
sense.
Great.
Like
I love that, but that's not the conversation we're here for. We're here to talk about why you don't think that we're.
But I'm just saying, as much as I, respect that it's your life and that, you can live your life however you want to, I don't believe that the fairy tale and the fantasy that you're preaching is what's true.
So you think it's a delusion? Sorry, Dora.
Right. Do you not see how it's incredibly rude to say that this is a fairy tale fantasy? That's so invalidating.
Okay, you may feel like a woman, but that doesn't make you a woman.
Right, we're here to talk about
and what's
you
true.
don't have to resort to calling it a fairy tale. You can you can give me your reasons as to why you think we're wrong. We were going to down the line of necessary conditions because you had I forgot what you mentioned, but you mentioned some necessary conditions which were shown to be wrong. I think you mentioned chromosomes, and we talked about Swyer syndrome.
Okay, well, you can identify as a female and you can feel like a woman, but that doesn't physically make you one.
Because sex and gender are different.
Were you going to say something?
Me?
No, sorry, my friend.
I'm trying to put my words together and how I want to phrase this. I just feel like gender and sex do go hand in hand because at birth they look at your genitalia to decipher whether you're a male or a female.
So there is one characteristic that is both have to do with sex and gender. What is that characteristic?
Can you rephrase that? I'm sorry.
What is one characteristic that links sex and gender?
I feel like just if you have male genitalia or female genitalia, I mean, I know there's conditions like hidden testes disease where you may have both female and male parts, but I just feel like typically once you're born or like on ultrasounds, they look for if you have a penis or a vagina to see if you are a female or a male.
You didn't answer your pivoting. What is the one characteristic that links sex and gender?
Okay, before that, can you tell me what the definition of sex is and then what the definition of gender is? Why do you believe that is so different?
Sure. The simple version would be that the biological sex relates to your reproductive functions and gender is psychological and social.
Okay, sure. So physically, you were born as a male, correct? Right? Like you're a transgender woman. So
male in relation to biological sex would be related to reproductive functions.
Right. So, but mentally, like I said before, you can feel like a woman, but that doesn't make you one. So
not feeling one.
In your head,
you still haven't answered my question.
Okay, but in your head, you can believe that you are a woman or feel like a woman or have the desire to be a woman, but physically and genetically, that does not make you a woman.
So, one, you didn't answer my question either way. Two, I went into the necessary and sufficient conditions that you stated before and proved them wrong. So, what is the one characteristic that links sex and gender? Hint: it's the biggest sexual organ in the body.
Okay, so obviously you know the answer, so why don't you just tell me?
It's neurological sex.
Okay, so explain to me what that is.
Neurological sex means in the first trimester of utero. It actually happens more in epidemiology. And in the less than 8 weeks born, when the SRY gene is activated, is your physical sex. From your 8th week on to your 2nd trimester, your gonads are formed, your primary sexual characteristics are formed. Everything else separately, when 2nd trimester comes around, your neurological sex is formed by a little thing of testosterone coming up into the hypothalamus. It swims up to the hypothalamus into the BNST, and it catalyzes with a aromatase, which is an enzyme which speeds up or catalyzes the
Sorry, I'm messing around with my Discord. Don't mind me.
okay. And it actually turns into estradiol, which is a form of estrogen, which actually masculizes the brain.
Okay, so, but if we're on the argument of...
I'm using neurological sex as gender. It's not a feeling. It's internal sense of self. It's a neurological sex.
Okay, so, but the question that is being asked is that specifically, you say, I am a woman, which is your name Adora? Is that what?
Yes, my name is Adora.
Adora. Okay, so the question is Adora a woman?
Yep.
So my whole thing is that Adora may feel like a woman or may have had surgeries that affirm, that feeling and stuff like that, but that doesn't genetically make you a woman.
Genes don't determine your gender.
We already went over this.
Yep.
Okay, sure. You may feel like a woman in your head, and you may want to look like a woman and present yourself as a woman and have women or girl-like characteristics, but that does not genetically make you a woman.
Again, your genes don't determine if you're a man or a woman or non-binary.
Maybe not in your head, but physically it does. Because if you never went through any surgery, your body would be...
What physically makes someone a woman?
What does estrogen...
I have that.
Vagina... Okay, but because you're pumping that in your body, not your body doesn't naturally
the estrogen that I have is... I want to be clear here. The estrogen that I have is bioidentical, and I am not making the claim that you need to be on HRT to be valid in your identity.
I'm not... Okay, but if you were to never have estrogen put into your body would not naturally produce estrogen. You would be producing testosterone.
It produces estrogen in the adrenal gland.
Both genders produce testosterone and estrogen, but in females it's typically higher in estrogen, and males typically higher in
PCOS. Is an example of...
Talking about rare conditions. I mean, PCOS is not that rare. Let me correct myself. But you're talking about these conditions that don't typically happen to everyone.
Yes, but
it does happen.
But a necessary sufficient condition has to meet all criteria. All criteria. If one criteria is not met, it's not sufficient.
Okay, well, let's be clear. Adora was born male, was born with male genitalia.
All of which are reproductive functions and not related to gender as a result. We already went over the difference between sex and gender.
Okay, well, you may feel like a woman in your brain, and you may have a higher amount of estrogen being pumped into your body, and you may have gone through gender-affirming surgeries, but that genetically and physically does not make you a woman. You may feel that way, you may present yourself that way, but it doesn't.
So we just went over phenotypic and genotypic, and we just broke both of those necessary and sufficient conditions. 2, it's not a feeling, it's an internal sense of self. It's your truth that you...
Okay, your truth within yourself, which is in your own brain.
At this point, I really feel like I'm not saying one is right or wrong, but I'm just saying I feel like this conversation is not going anywhere.
I agree. And I have plenty of people on
And
request.
I feel like it's just we're gonna have to agree to disagree at this point.
I do not agree to disagree, but I do agree that that this conversation is going nowhere.
So I wish you guys the best, and I appreciate having this conversation.
Have a good one.
You as well.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. The temptation to bring Cash App to kickback is overwhelming. I don't know. Maybe I'll do $10 or something. I don't know. I don't know. You heard a slur in the background? Oh, shit.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh, fuck that. Okay. Don't do it. Hello, user 120936.
Hi, my name is Marina, and I am 25, born 1999.
All right, what are your thoughts on the topic?
So I'm a social worker, and I studied sexuality heavily in my college years. And so for me, I'm definitely, gender affirming, especially with my patients and everything else. But I know that there was a trans gentleman on here earlier that brought something up that I thought was he got shot down a little bit. And I don't think you guys meant to shoot him down, but he was talking about like how other people perceive and maybe putting the perspective of how other people see this argument in terms of how it is displayed publicly in bathroom situations. And I kind of get where he's coming from in the sense that, like, I work at an IMD, which is a locked mental health facility, and I've had many patients who are actually presenting to be transgender, and they have caused harm in the public to other people. And so when people see that, they really hold on to it. And of course, really people who are like super conservative are going to use those things to invalidate bathrooms usage and then your guys' identity altogether. And I totally see the disconnect there. And he doesn't have a solution and no one else does. So I think where he was coming from is like, how does the trans community respond to that? And what's your insight? So for me, I'm asking the question, what is your insight? I'm really interested to understand.
From my perspective, from what I've seen, there is no data that shows that trans people having access to the spaces of our identities poses any threat to cisgender people. And until someone can show that we do pose a threat, I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to say that that trans people should be segregated in any way.
No, and I totally understand that as well. But how do we show the public that's the truth? Because people are going to market things, people are going to use media, networking, everything to try to run their agenda. But and I'm a bi woman, I've been in relationships with women, and I, part of the LGBT community. And when I'm confronted with questions and like when I'm supporting people who are my friends who are trans, sometimes I'm caught with that question. I'm like, I don't know how to refer you to,
Yeah, I would say that we have conversations like this, where when people say that trans people do pose a challenge, thank you so much for the finger hearts, we say, hey, where are you getting that from? What is your source? Why do you feel that way? We challenge them and make them think about why they feel that way. We also can advocate for K through 12 queer education.
Mm-hmm. And I can definitely see there's many different layers to this. And while listening to everyone's conversation, the last two girls that were up, I mean, I've had friends who have the same opinion where it's like they physically can or like mentally just cannot make the differentiation between sex and gender just because it's not conceptually understood by them and people of that thought process. And I think that kind of equals to a point sociologically that we're always going to have this problem. And what does that look like for you? And if you have a future and children, is that something that concerns you? And how are we going to change that?
Yeah, we change that through education. We change that through representation. The more people see us, the less scary we'll be because they don't know about us.
Right. And I think that, I totally appreciate what you guys are doing. And I appreciate that you guys, are able to educate and on this platform in a really positive way. And I just wanted to appreciate you guys for that. So thank you for letting me come up on your live.
All right. I appreciate you. Thank you. You have a good day.
You too.
Bye. Someone came up with a really interesting idea. I could do Cash App to Kick, but where the Cash App goes to the Palestinian family that I'm raising money for. That's a really interesting idea.
I like that.
That's cool.
If I'm going to do that, it's not going to be a $10 Cash App. It's going to be a $20 Cash App to Kick. I got to talk about that with my team before I can do that. That's a very interesting idea, though. Might have to raise it even higher because we might end up getting significant. This might be a great way to fundraise. I've been really struggling to make money for this family. And when at my peak, when I was bringing in $10,000 a month, I'm not making anywhere near that anymore. I was bringing in about $3,000 to $4,000 in Cash App to Kick alone. So we could actually raise money for these families through Cash App to Kick. That is a really interesting idea. And then once it's no longer relevant to fundraise for families in Gaza, fingers crossed, because we got them out of there, I could do like a 50-50 thing. I don't know. That's a future thing to think about, what to do after that. Oh, that's a very, very interesting idea. Yeah, of course, Venmo too. Venmo as well. Hello, Ash.
Yeah, before I rudely disconnect,
you were already.
I wanted to ask you.
Hello, Notorious. How you doing?
You are not a woman, man. Them big ass shoulders.
All right. You have a good day too. Harley 75. Oh, by the way, how you doing, Hot Dog?
No, I don't want no.
You okay? That was interesting. Coffee Crafts. If you're still watching, if you have Discord, you should just be able to look for adorable_Rainbow Fist. Send me a friend request, and once I accept that friend request, you can DM me. Oh, I just got the friend request. Okay, 1 second. Let me take care of that. Applications. All right. Now this person can DM me if they would like to. All right. Do we have any more guest requests, guys, or are we out of requests for the night? I suppose if I do this Cash App to Kick donated to the family in Gaza, it would have to be Cash App and Venmo only and not Ferris wheels. Because I was doing Ferris wheels before, but Ferris wheels would be harder to track because they get lumped in with my with my total diamonds for the live. So yeah, I would have to not do Ferris wheels. Okay, we have a guest request.
Hello.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the fan art. That is absolutely beautiful. I appreciate that so much. It makes me so happy. Thank you. Thank you. Okay,
Hello.
Ian.
Yes. Hello.
How old are you, please?
I'm 25.
25. All right.
Yes.
And what is your take on the topic?
Well, I first want to preface that I'm gay. So, I'm trying to, so I know the difference between gender and sex, right? You know, gender is the expression of, you know, I mean, some people express it in the way of like their clothing or how they feel. But on your stance of being a woman, are you referring to both of them, or are you referring to the gender aspect?
I mean, as woman is a gender, I'm referring to the gender aspect, yes.
Okay. And then I also believe too, you know, the girl was saying before that, you know, sex is determined by the parts that you were born with. But I also think that's kind of controversial considering that there's so much data too saying that, you know, hormones can affect like your brain and stuff as well. And that, I mean, I think it's kind of not really possible to say, oh, as well, like that your sex is determined from your genitalia and like completely your hormones. So you're referring to more like gender, or do you believe that sex also can come from, you know, hormones affecting your brain, like before birth, or?
It's my understanding that gender does start to develop in utero, but I don't know the details on that.
Okay. So you present yourself, your gender, as female, but what do you present for your sex if you believe that there is a difference between the two?
Sure, I have male sex characteristics and female sex characteristics.
Okay, so sex. Do you think what do you think sex is in your definition?
Yeah, sex would be the male sex or the female sex, but especially in reference to. Wait, no, that's either the two main categories, male and female, into which most living things are divided on the basis of their reproductive functions.
Okay, so in reproductive functions, as in say a girl, like somebody's born a female, they can have a child, right? So does that mean that if you can't have a child, that your reproductive functions, does that mean that you would say that your sex is a male but your gender is a female? Or would you say that both of those?
I would say that I'm genotypically male and my gender is woman.
Okay. That's all. That's what I was wondering. I mean, and also too, I believe that sex is not just completely determined by reproductive function, but that's what I was wondering. I mean, people get confused and they think it's somatics being like, oh, gender and sex are the same, but I mean, they are different. And I think a lot of people need to learn the definition of those two. Because I feel like that would save everyone a whole bunch of time if they just read the definition of the two. But okay, that's what I was just wondering.
All right, I appreciate you, Ian. You have a good day.
You too. Thank you so much.
Bye. Is there anyone else that would like to come up, guys? I have nobody in requests. Chat is open, and I have nobody in requests. Okay. Let's see who's live. Alluring Skull is live, guys. We can raid Alluring Skull. So yeah, everyone head on over to Alluring Skulls chat. Don't spam. Just write Adora raid in chat. Just write it once or twice. So they're probably playing video games. They do that quite a bit. Sometimes they do other stuff. But yeah, Alluring Skull, guys. Alluring Skull. Now let me spell it out. See if it'll let me. Alluring Skull is super duper cool. So head on over to Alluring Skull, Adora raid in chat. Really don't spam it. But yeah, see y'all later.